We're joined now by our regular guest, animal rights activist and, of course, actor Peter Egan, and the CEO, the Chief Executive and founder of Helping Rhinos, Simon Jones. Welcome, Peter, and welcome, Simon.
Hi, Kevin. Nice to see you.
Good to
Hi,
see
Kevin. Thanks very much.
Good to see you. I think we've got your colleague, my colleague, Abby Balkin has got together some footage. I think we've got some sound and film to play right now. So let's have a quick look.
There are thousands of rhinos who have been killed by humans for the ubiquitous and pharmaceutically inert chemical that is nothing more than a fingernail. Keratin.
Well, you know, that's a 30-minute film and it's full of distressing scenes like that. It is very distressing to see this. And you, Peter, out there in Africa, you know, you were overcome with distress about it yourself, weren't you? Tell me, first of all, we'll come to you in a second, Simon, but what is this all about? I believe it's to do with Chinese medicine, and some people, for some reason, just want these horns for ornaments. Who does this? Why do they do it? What's the trade? What's the money? Tell me what you saw, what you found out.
Well, it's poachers who do it, and they do it for a big market in Southeast Asia who believe that rhino horn will increase their libido and also have an effect on various other physical ailments, which is nonsense, of course, because, as you said so clearly, rhino horn is like fingernail. You might as well eat your fingernail as well as, you know, absorb rhino horn. I think it's, and I'm sure Simon will bear me out, rhino horn is more valuable than cocaine or gold. It was sort of ounce for ounce on the market. And it has a huge marketplace in Southeast Asia. And it's just so sad because I think that if there were very, very clear education on the ineffectiveness of this as any kind of aid to enhancing our physical disabilities, it would just be wonderful. But the kind of bogusness of it is enhanced all the time, and people like the idea of having wild rhino horn. They think it's going to do them a lot of good. It's very depressing.
Simon, explain to me what it is that you do to ameliorate, at least try to ameliorate the awfulness of this trade. You must, as we saw there, and those pictures are so sad of those poor rhinos, you know, in agony, clearly rolling around in the mud. But of course, those rhinos, those mother rhinos, are in the process of dying from infection and sinus problems, and they leave their orphan babies. So what is it that you try to do to make this awful situation slightly better?
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. So Helping Rhinos, our role is to raise the funds that we give to our teams on the ground, and we work with a number of different project partners who are trying to protect rhinos in their natural habitat. And that is working through and putting together anti-poaching patrol units. So rangers on the ground, we work with a number of different anti-poaching units. It's become like a war ground, in all honesty. You know, if you go back 20 years, being a conservationist in Africa was all about learning about ecology and that side of it. And, you know, that's still important. But now our ranger patrols tend to be more military trained because they're having to deal with exactly that, military style organizations and ambushes by poachers. And as Peter said, you know, the rhino horn is, you know, at its height was going for about $65,000 to $100,000 per kilogram, which was more than, as Peter said, more than any other commodity in the world. It has dropped from its height, which was back in 2014. So the value has dropped a bit now. But it's what we try and do is, as I say, try and do what we can to protect rhinos in their natural habitat. And that is bearing some results. different types of results in different areas. And we do other things like, as you know, the film that you just alluded to, Keratin, that Peter very kindly came out and made for us, was centered around a rhino orphanage. As you said, often these rhinos that are killed are mothers, so we leave behind orphaned baby rhinos, and without the care of an orphanage, they just wouldn't survive. So not only would then be losing their mother, we'd be losing the baby as well, of course.
It's so awful.
And that's tragic.
Yeah, it really is tragic. Now, what's the scale of this awful industry, and which kind of area of Africa are we talking about, Simon?
Yeah, so we work predominantly across in sub-Saharan Africa. Our projects are in South Africa and Kenya. South Africa has 80% of all of Africa's rhinos. So a lot of our project is based there. That's where the orphanage was. The images you saw at the start, that was in South Africa as well. And Kenya is the third largest population of rhinos in any country. Namibia is second. So we're working across those with those areas in sort of key rhino populations where we can believe we can make a difference. You know, it's going to take time. You know, this trade in rhino horn is based on thousands and thousands of years of belief of what it can cure, anything from cancer to a common cold. We're not going to change those beliefs overnight. So
and for the record, rhino horn can cure the square root of sod all. Am I right? Absolutely,
it's keratin. It is made up. You know, if you see a picture of a rhino horn, you can actually see the strands of hair. It's literally just compressed hair.
And counterintuitively, one of the ways that you try to protect rhinos is to take the horns off humanely, which can be done. I think we've got some footage of a very skillful person with a chainsaw doing just that, and thereby, of course, they become unattractive to these evil, cruel poachers.
Quite an emotional feeling when you see a rhino having its horn taken off with a chainsaw. That rhino stands a 96% better chance of surviving 2 years than if we leave its horn on.
Mike darts the mammal from the air, a high-pressure and skillful procedure. Immediately the team get to work, adding a blindfold and earplugs to ensure the least possible stress from the surrounding commotion. Hair is collected from his tail. Mike fires up his chainsaw and begins the task of removing his horns. So wields the power tool with remarkable skill and dexterity, ensuring the cut is as clean and smooth as he can possibly make it.
And though essentially this is probably a very bad analogy, that in terms of what the rhino feels there, it's a bit like biting your fingernails or something like that. And that once that horn has gone, it doesn't harm the animal because it's been done, you know, cleanly and humanely. And after that, the poachers won't be interested, right, Simon?
To a certain extent, absolutely, yes. So there's no pain. I mean, as you see, the rhino is under anaesthetic as much because it's, you know, one of the most dangerous animals in the world. We can't just walk up to a rhino and mind us taking its horn off. So, but it doesn't feel anything. When you cut your fingernails, you cut your hair, it doesn't. You don't feel anything as long as you don't go below a certain point. And just like your hair and fingernails, the rhino horn will grow back. It has about a 4-year growth cycle. So and it is important, and we have seen that plays, but it buys us time. It definitely isn't the long-term solution, but it's buying us time now while we find more permanent solutions to this problem we faced for way far too long now. But you have to be careful. It doesn't mean you can't do other protection. It's one cog in the sort of chain, if you like. So we have seen dehorned rhinos still being poached because there is quite a chunk of horn that sits, as you just saw in that clip, and they will dig right down into the sinus cavity, as you alluded to.
Which looked like that poor creature, like writhing around. Looks like that had happened to her there. Peter, what about these? You've been out there, the baby rhinos. What happens to them? There's a sanctuary and.
An orphanage.
What happens to them? Do they
Well, they're raised in a very protected circumstance. I mean, what was remarkable about my trip with Andrew Telling, who made the film with me, was that on the day we arrived, an orphan came in to the orphanage. He was called Kulula, which means easy in Zulu, and so we call him Lula Boy. And what was remarkable, yes, there he is, with this wonderful young lady, Simone, who is the rhino carer, and this little baby, he was a week old, came in, and it behaved just like a puppy. It was like having a baby dog, and it bonded with Simone very, very quickly, and she was able to kind of nurse him back to full health. He now is a big rhino. A year and a half later. And, you know, he was so incredibly, I was so honored to be up close to an animal like this that has exactly the same sentience as any other animal and the same desire to live and have a gentle life. And as Simon said, yes, of course, they are incredibly dangerous. I had the most wonderful opportunity to feed some of the grown rhinos there. And I mean, it was just absolutely inspiring to be so close to this prehistoric animal that is so badly disregarded and misunderstood and abused for just such a ridiculous reason of, keratin, rhino horn. I have to say also, watching that dehorning there, I gasped again watching it, because when I was there for it, it did actually upset me deeply to see this magnificent animal being robbed of an essential part of its body. And Simon has explained why it happens, but...
Yeah, well, I was going to ask you actually, Peter, because you very impressively travel the world looking at some of the worst excesses of animal cruelty. But this particular trip, you look to be pretty overcome.
Yes.
It's extraordinarily distressing to see what's going on to these poor creatures, right?
Well, what was amazing to me being in Africa for the first time, we were on a wonderful reserve, and we were lucky enough to see 4 of the big 5, an elephant, a rhino, and a buffalo, and a lion. We saw a lion. And I just was overwhelmed by seeing these magnificent creatures in their own habitat, paying no interest to human beings at all. Very, very relaxed, getting on with their lives, and not interfered with. And then, of course, we do this.
Then you get this, yeah. Listen, good to talk to you, Peter. Now, Simon, if I just get back to you, how can people help? Is there a way people can donate? What can we do?
Yeah, the best way is, we are Helping Rhinos is an organization that is working across many different areas in Africa. So please visit our website, which is helpingrhinos.org. You can donate through there as well. Really, we rely on donations. If it wasn't for the donations we have, we wouldn't be able to fund the care for these rhino orphans. We wouldn't be able to fund the anti-poaching patrols. So this is an international problem. If we lose rhinos from our landscape, from the landscape in Africa, that will have an impact on us here. So it's an international problem. It has to be an international solution. We all have a part to play. So thank you in advance. But anything anyone can do to help and support us, visit our website and
helpingrhinos.org. Helping Rhinos, all one word, yeah?
Rhinos, all one word. So www.helpingrhinos.org.
And one last question to you, Simon, I guess. I asked you earlier, what is the scale of this? What kind of numbers are we talking? And do these poachers, do they ever get caught? Do they ever get arrested? Is it one of those kind of whack-a-mole situations? If you arrest one gang, another will turn up. What's going on here?
It's exactly that. So the height of this current poaching crisis was sort of early 2014. We were losing 1,200 rhinos a year just to poaching at that point. We've got on top of it a little bit. Last year, we actually went up from the year before. We lost 499 rhinos in South Africa alone last year. If you work that out, that's still nearly 2 a day we're losing to poaching. There are arrests being made. Just last year, to give you an idea, 499 poached last year. There were 36 arrests, 30 go to court, 35 convictions. poachers are going to jail, but as you said, it's a bit of a whack-a-mole. The poacher isn't really the problem. It's the criminal syndicates. Illegal wildlife trade is the fourth largest trade behind human trafficking, arms trafficking, drugs trafficking. So, this is a big money business for those syndicates. So they're really where we've got to get to, and we've got to bring those syndicates down because, as you said, there'll always be another poacher coming in to take the place of one taken out of the marketplace.
Okay, Simon, good to talk. So helpingrhinos.org, everyone check that out and donate some money. Well, thank you both for sharing this with us, and let's hope that this trade ends as soon as possible. It really is disgusting to see. But thank you, Peter, and thank you, Simon. Thank you very much indeed.